Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Today's agriculture-related character is Tian, farm field, of course. And even though I translated the field, it's really farm field that we're talking about. It's not football field. Okay. Before entertainment, sports, survival is the number one thing. So farm field, Tian is our field here. And you can see the contemporary Chinese as well as traditional simplified versions. Both looks pretty, in today's lingo, it'll be like a quadrant when business analysts want to show you things can be categorized in two dimensions, X and Y. However, that's classified, and then they will map out two quadrants of things, right? That looks just like that. And then this box cut like a quartered into four parts came from this. And the farm field in the 2000 years ago dictionary capture, the difference between that is back then the characters was not rendered as boxy, as like rectangular as today's, because rectangle is relatively easy. It doesn't have the radius, and you have four radius of each. It's kind of harder to draw, right? How can you guarantee this radius? Each corner of that you draw it perfectly. It's harder. So box it up probably is the easier packaging for as a language written form. So why farm field? If we only have the space in today's world, rendering will be a rectangle box. Okay. In ancient time will be, with the radius, with the four corners rounded up. If we only have that, that means the land, the land of your existence, the far known land, as far as you're conscious about. Okay. Even if Chinese as a East Asia culture back then, I guess in ancient times, this sense of space, like how far things are there, right? How it's connected to Eurasia and all of that, may eventually come to awareness as our world expand. But in ancient times, it mostly centered around Yellow River and the villages ups and down that river because you need to have irrigation to your farmland. So that how you define a box change over time, right? As the boundaries of this culture change. And then we quadrant it. Even if we only have one horizontal line, one vertical line, that's enough to show there is this cutting, this bothering process. So this is within the known piece of land. You cut them into smaller lots, equivalent to today's lotting. So I guess in ancient times too, there were some central government managing land as resource and cut them up to distribute among households. I don't exactly know. There gotta be way more complicated things than that because I know in ancient times that some farmers probably more successful eventually they hire farm hands and they become landlords, right? So this initially, even if every household is supposed to be equally distributed a certain thing, the wealth distribution is probably never even. So even if we idealize our society as this equally quadranted four squares on that bigger square, in real life, let's just be clear, this is an abstraction of farmland, simply to show you on this known bigger piece of land or allotted into small pieces for different households or business units. Okay, 希望的田野, okay, is a song very famous almost 40 years ago. And I will show you in the next page of 希望的田野. Probably I'll try to remember at the link to the song. And here it's saying rare stare. Okay, it doesn't make sense, right? 希望 is a Chinese way to say hope. And we use rare and stare to compose the concept of hold. How can that be, right? Rare stare. Okay, 希望. The reason why it is hope because it's not a given. You have to work hard for it, and you have to be lucky enough to have it. So there are controlled and out of your control conditions to be met for that to actualize. And that's what is hope, right? You hope for the best because it's not totally under your control. And so when we say rare means okay, imagine the bell curve thing. Majority of people, right? If you don't exert yourself or if you're not lucky enough, majority of us in this bigger pile. And when it comes to each side of the tail, it becomes rarer and rarer, right? So we are basically staring at that rarer cases. Basically, we want to be on one end of that long tail to distinguish ourselves in any of the dimensions that we defined. And so this rare stare, like you are aspiring to be, okay, I'm turning right. There is a value judgment up there because in English culture, at least, we normally assign bigger value toward the right side because we're right side facing uh, orientation in this English culture. So I'm also facing toward the right side of the tail, supposedly to mean it's rarer in a good way versus you don't want to be the other end of the spectrum. Okay, so rare stare means you aspire to become that rarefied stratification of society, if we view it that way. So you 希望 means 望 means you're look at something from a distance. So actually, it means a look afar, but I want to rhyme it to make it fun. So I put rare stare. So you really focus on a far away goal, and that goal is a rare thing to get, and that's what Chinese make hope out of. Okay, and 田野, 田 is the farm field, and the 野 is the wild, non-farmed field. So I guess when we are venturing out there, you can see the farmland. And I guess in ancient times, there are still some land that's not cultivated, not for farming purpose. There could be land for, I don't know, some trees, some woods as a separation of, or some uneven that you cannot really use that land for farming. So not every land can be farmland, right? So you have this wilderness right next to the field, and that's what Chinese call 田野. Give you the sense of you're out there in nature, either on farmland, like your human cultivated nature or the wild nature out there. Okay, so 希望的田野 is a song. I'm going to show you next page. 田字格. If you are committed Chinese learner, if you aspire to learn Chinese, not only to read, listen, and speak, but you actually want to write it because writing probably is the hardest one because it's such a intricate and a different system. Simply is a different system of not verbalizing, but write out the characters to use this 2D frame thing to represent the concept and take me years to feel comfortable holding the pens in a certain way so that you can write actually pretty fast. And nowadays we type, right? Typing is way easier to get the characters. But if you aspire to write Chinese, and 田字格, this field word grid is going to be your best friend. So basically, 田字格 is the gridded, empty blank page with this 田, this shape of boxes imprinted not imprinted, printed out on the page, blank page, and you can practice repeating the same character again and again. simply by quadrant the space, uh, it already can provide you extra guideline so that your character is proportionally right and recognizable. So that's when I guess still so Chinese grade school schoolers spend a lot of time learning to write, memorizing all the characters and repeat that again and again until it becomes muscle memory. 填字格 is the way, well, we use 填字 to show you the shape of this grid. This is and it's used for, well, actually, 填字 means um, the shape looks like the character 田, okay? So that's 田字格. 瓜田李下, 瓜 melon, field 田, 李下 plum under. So 李下 means the plum tree, under the plum tree. And 瓜田 means um, on on the farm, on the field of melon. 瓜田李下 gives you the location without telling what's happening, but you have to know the full story behind it. 瓜田 means if you make the motion of kneeling down when you are walking by that melon field, you're going to look suspicious of that by just kneeling down. Lower your body down to possibly reach and steal some melons from that field, right? So, as a caution of the proper etiquette, you walk by a melon field, never kneel. Don't give anybody any chance to wonder if you ever steal. Okay. 李下, same. If you're walking under the plum tree, you don't ever reach your head. Like, don't lift your hand in any way to reach, possibly pluck off the plums on the tree. You don't make that motion at all to leave no chance for accusations of stealing properties of other people's farm produce, right? You don't kneel on melon field. You don't raise your hand and walking under a plum tree. So that's what 瓜田李下 is. So here is the 在希望的田野上. Okay, you know who is this singer? Is the current Chinese CCP head and the country leader, President Xi's wife. She performed this song, 希望的田野, back in 1983, the very beginning of the annual Chinese central government sponsored and somebody put together the show, the annual gala of Chinese performance. Of course, it's a propaganda, right? But this song in particular in 1983 is the Chinese dream, because we're literally talking about hope. And that hope is on this farm field, this piece of land. And the whole song, probably one day I'm going to unpack the lyrics of the song, talks about the visions of how this land, people on this land are going to produce, to make use of this land as they build their life on top of this land. And even if nowadays, when we look back, it's propaganda for sure, but it does instill the sense of hope, especially if you know a little bit of Chinese contemporary history. That's right after, like 4 years after the Cultural Revolution, that the whole generation of people went through some really dark time, and then people restarted their life. Its journey restarted, and the government adjust their posture, change their direction, and then people on the land start to feel hope, start to build their Chinese dream on that land. And this is what a coincidence that she is the face of that hope. She is the singer of that dream. And 4 decades later, she's the first lady of China. And just an interesting coincidence. All right, Tian, thank you for your time. See you another